How are you? How is your morning? And I have my guest in studio with me, and he is a renowned author, founder, CEO, drum rolls. Mambo.
Papadi.
Kopoa.
I'm good, and you?
Niko poa pia.
Yes.
Yes. Sijui niseme jina ama ujiseme, watakaji.
Just bring the vibe.
Of course, nishasema wewe ni renowned author, founder wa Vijana, the Vijana Network.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And by extension, the Mombasa Youth Awards.
True.
Sasa, the person in the house is none other than Muhammad Otieno.
Yes.
He's a humble guy, as you can see. Or as you can hear.
Yeah.
Muhammad Otieno.
Yes.
I want to start with why Muhammad Otieno. Because a lot of Otienos are not Muhammads.
So that sounds unique.
Yeah, it is very unique.
I think majority of the people from Mombasa used to know me as Bran Otieno. But as they say, life is a paradox. But at the end of the day, we have to accept what we can't change and change what we can change. So I reverted from being Christian to Muslim, and that's why Muhammad Otieno. It's a long journey.
Tuguzie kidogo tu how you converted from Christian to Muslim.
Okay, so just to share a summary, I was born and raised in Kisumu, especially where we only say fish and not fish. And so after my late mom passed, I was driven to Mombasa by my aunt, and we used to stay around Mondoni. And so majority of my friends were Muslims, and I loved the culture where people pray 5 times a day, and all the Swahili environment. So I can say all those brought all these issues of me loving the religion. But at the end of the day, I can say it's a God-driven opportunity for me. And I think I converted when it was on 2020 during the pandemic time. Yeah, until now.
So like you come to Mombasa.
Yes.
Within a week you have converted. I mean, how long did it take?
I can say because while I was converting, I was around 21 years old. Yeah. So all that period, I can't really explain what really happened, but let God be God.
Mashallah. So you've come to Mombasa.
Yeah.
Ulikuwa unakuja Mombasa kutafuta nini? What were you coming to look for in Mombasa?
So actually for me, Mombasa was, for the first time when I had Mombasa, I thought it was more of paradise. Because, coming from Kisumu. So one of the reasons why I came to Mombasa is because I came here to stay with my aunt after my mom had passed away. And the life and the culture back home, especially once your mom is out of this universe, there's no one to take care of you. And one of the things that you'll end up doing is looking after the cattle. So I just came to Mombasa, being raised here, school here, from class 1 to class 8. Then the secondary part, nikafanyia Kisumu. Yes.
Right. And then sasa after high school, you came back here.
Yeah, after high school from Kisumu direct to Mombasa. Because I was now used to the whole environment. Sasa ile mimi kurudi nyumbani, I felt like,
no way.
I can't fit there.
This is not my place, I mean. So when do you actually start writing?
So I started writing while I was in primary. Especially I loved writing the composition. And one of the good things that anytime I do a good composition, ungepata pale kwa notice board. You get. So from there I loved writing poems. And one of the main reasons why I used to like writing poetry is a way of remembering my late mom. Then I went on to the high school. Also, so najua zile tukiwa high school, especially because mimi nilikuwa na boys schools. So tukienda zile out, I used to write letters for my fellow students. So I did make that as a source of income for me. Each and every letter ilikuwa 150 shillings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because
entrepreneur.
So I think all that all that ika hype up my writing mood. But now the funny part is I used to love Kiswahili more than English.
Oh.
Yeah, but I found myself in the English industry, so I just write the English parts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when did you say, maybe I'm going to write a book now?
I think that was in 2018, after I came out from the National Youth Service, NYS.
Oh, umefika hadi NYS.
Yeah, sisi ndio wale pesa zetu zililiwa.
Ilifikaje ukaamua kwenda NYS?
So when nilimaliza shule, when was that? I think that was 2016. Sisi ndio wale wanafunzi wenye hatukupata leakage. You remember 2016?
Yes, yes.
Wakati wa Matiang'i.
Yes.
Yeah, so after doing my high school, one of the first jobs that I did when I came back to Mombasa from school was mjengo. Because by then I did not used to maybe to say I can't do this, I can't do that. So there's a time when NYS were doing recruitment. So I went to give it a try, and that's how I was taken. So being in the National Youth Service, it has really taught me a lot. Then now after the scandal, all that happened, so I had to leave. Because you can't stay in a place where you don't see any fruits growing up.
You said NYS taught you a lot. Ilikufunza nini?
I think one of the things that NYS has taught me is discipline. And which is very important, because from day one when you get into the gate and when you leave the gate, you now live as a different version of you. And I think I just say discipline, which is very important. And I think it has taken me far into places where my papers has not taken me. Because nilimaliza 2016, and the last time I was in university was in TUM, selling Airtel and Safaricom lines. So I've never been into university again.
Oh. Ulienda kusell Airtel na Safaricom lines, ama ulienda kusoma ukajipata pia una sell airtime?
I think by that time the students from the other side were now coming to TUM. So I took that opportunity, because by that time I was working in both Safaricom and Airtel. So nikaona, since hawa ni newcomers, it will be a good opportunity for me to sell those lines to them.
Oh, so where time ulikanyanga university ni kuuza lines?
Yeah. I've never been there again.
Do you feel like you'd go there?
To university, for me, no. Yeah, because I think I'm learning a lot from social media and on different platforms like YouTube.
So work on YouTube University?
Yeah, YouTube
All
University.
right. All right. So your first book in 2018, why did you write it? What inspired it?
So I wrote my first book in 2018, but I did the launch in 2019 at a place called Swahili Pot. And the book is called No Human is Limited. And so I featured Muniba Mazari from Pakistan. I also featured the late Chris Kirubi. And that time I think Eliud Kipchoge was now breaking the record. And I also featured our president Ruto. So if you see all these people, they do come from, let me say, a humble background. They've gone through a lot of struggles, and so for me, I was picking up the most important lessons from them as I share with my fellow youths and the world. Yeah.
So that is how you wrote the book and
Exactly.
launched it. How was the process of writing the book? Okay, yes, you're a writer, but I mean, you have not published a book before. You've not done anything before. How was it for you at that moment?
It was really a very hectic process, but at the end of the day, I knew what I wanted in my life. And so by that time I did not even have a laptop, so I used to have a phone. I think it was itel S31 yenye ilikuwa ikifika 70% inazima. So that's where I used to type my work. You get?
My God.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day, we always say that the process is very important, because in the long run we learn a lot from it. Yeah.
So each time unaandika kitabu, but it's the same time you were selling lines, or what were you doing?
No, I did leave the industry of Safaricom and Airtel, because at the end of the day, if you have A, B, C, and D, and you're trying to combine them all up, you'll have to leave some. Yeah. So when I
you
left,
have to focus on something.
Exactly. So I realized that writing needs a lot of time and concentration.
Yes.
Unlike me going outside selling this and that. And so I had to choose one. So I left the other part and I focused into writing.
Wow. Now, who published your book?
My first publisher was Dr. Udi.
Oh, right.
Because I really struggled looking for a publisher because I knew nothing about publishing. Me, I just knew maybe ukishaandika kitabu, you give it maybe to big companies, then they publish all that. But at the end of the day, the financial part was now pulling me front and back, you get. Yeah. So when I met Dr. Udi, I think we were in Sheikh Khalifa, if I'm not wrong. Then I heard him speaking on stage, publisher of around 20-something books. And I was like, 20-something, and this is my first
This
book.
is your first book.
Yeah, so I did grab the opportunity to learn from him, and I shared my content with him. And so that is how I ended up publishing my first book.
Oh, wow. Muhammad,
Yes.
you've written your first book. After that, what happens?
After writing my first book, and I really got a good feedback from my audience, especially being my first book. And a lot of people requested that I help them I teach them writing their books.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I think that was 2020 tukiwa lockdown. Unajua sisi lockdown ilitupata tukiwa Tanzania.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went for more of a business issue.
Mkafungiwa huko.
Tulikuja mapema kabla tufungiwe. So nikachukua the opportunity because during lockdown a lot of things were done online.
Yes.
So I took the opportunity to write my second book. Inaitwa How to Write a Book.
Oh, wow.
And I was giving it out as a free copy and as a way of giving back to the audience and the love that I got from them. So in the same lockdown, I got an opportunity to write my third book. Inaitwa Be the 1%.
Wow, be the 1%. The 1% is the people who have money? Or
No.
who are the 1%?
So the 1% are those who, one, don't give up.
Okay.
And doing things differently, expecting different results. And so that is why I said be the 1%. Actually, I really struggled with the title. I had around 16. And then nakumbuka maths ilikuwa tunafundishwa kitu inaitwa is it omissions? Yeah, I think that. So nika omit some titles, then I ended up with one.
Be the 1%.
Be the 1%, which took me around 4.5 months
to write
that book.
Wow.
Yeah, and it is one of the best books that has sold my name out there. Na mpaka wale people know that now I'm an author. So after doing my third book, I wrote my fourth book in it Before Dust Settles Down. And when I was writing that book, I said I want to bring in a new author, someone who has the let me say the morale or the vibe of writing, but hajaipata your platform. So I wrote that book with a lady from Nairobi, and to Hafsa, who is a good baker, and we did the launch in Nairobi. So now I do have a market both in Mombasa and Nairobi. Then I did my fifth book, and it was A Glimmer of Hope.
Wow.
Yeah, featuring the African boy child and girl child, what people go through in life. But at the end of the day, no matter where you come from, it's one of your responsibility to make it up on top of the ladder. So my fifth book, Glimmer of Hope, I also wrote it to the good friend of mine from Nairobi, Kelvin. So I have been trying to balance both the markets, both Mombasa and Nairobi, because majority of my clients do come from Nairobi.
Oh, yeah. The book industry, how is it compared to, a lot of people consume information online or everything. We all want short videos. We all want to, I think, watch more than read. Do you feel, does that reflect to your audience?
Yeah, it does reflect so much, because I think our generation likes more of watching and listening than reading. But at the end of the day, if you know your clients, because I always say before you writing a book, you need to do some sort of maybe research. Ujue clients wako ni kina nani. So I think I did that with my third book, where I used to do self-delivery. So that nijue my client is so and so. So that anytime I release another book, I don't struggle in doing the marketing. You get, yeah. But at the end of the day, despite more of videos and podcasts, all that also requires a lot of investment for we authors. You get, yeah. And so we are slowly getting there, although some are already there. But at the end of the day, we still have income both on the ground and both on the online part.
Oh, wow. So now, time yote unaandika vitabu, when do you decide to bring up a network to bring I think it's more of Vijana Network bringing the youth together.
Yes.
Right. So what inspires you, and at what point do you think, okay, right now, I think what we need is a network for the youth?
Okay, I think one of the main things that inspired me, we live in a generation where we are all taught that for you to be on top of the ladder, you have to pull the person up there. And I think which is a bad disease killing majority of the youths. But at the end of the day, in the market, we already have so many players. So if you want to come into the market, you have to be a game changer, you get, or a change maker. And so after a good friend of mine, Dr. Udi, did his first event called the Muslim Media, which was edition 1, at I think it was in Swahili culture. And by then I was a Christian, and so the whole environment was just meant for Muslims. And so I sat down and said, if these guys can do such a thing, what can we do to bring all these guys together, you get? And like just doing something for the Christians only, then for the Muslims. So that is how we came up with the Vijana Network, whereby we build a platform for the African youth, a place where we can freely network and share what we do from our different backgrounds, and at the end of the day, lift each other. Yeah.
So what does Vijana Network do?
So our main focus are on only two things for now: empowering and celebrating the African youth. But at the end of the day, no matter what you do, you have to start from home. And so since now we are only focusing on celebrating, which is under Mombasa Youth Awards, a firm under the Vijana Network. And I think we last did our second edition on 8th of June at Afra Hall, which is a platform where we celebrate exemplary youths in Mombasa, those that are really striving in different industries and in different categories. And so on the part of the empowering, we've not yet arrived there, but I believe we will soon be there. Yeah.
You know, a lot of us have ideas, but actually putting them into implementation is the problem. Because now you come up with this network, Vijana Network, and how was that process of making sure that yenyewe vijana wame network, yenyewe we have empowered them, and now tumefika a point where we are celebrating them? How was the process for you?
I think the process was a little bit tiresome, but at the end of the day, strategy beats all that. And I think we live in an era where we walk and tweet, you get. So a lot of youths we are always online, even if you're not doing something that is meaningful. Yeah, we are always online. And so one of the best online or social media platforms that we use is Instagram. Yeah.
So the question is, Rona, you have, because a lot of people have ideas, but hapo kwa kuimplement is the problem, you understand? Because I will have an idea. I think it's a great idea. I think it's an idea that can bring impact in the society. But I probably don't know the right person, the right people to go to. I probably don't know how much it may cost. I underlook how much it may cost. So for you, for Vijana Network, did you like have everything in check? Like, okay, this is what we need. We need this and this amount of money. Check. These are the people we need to like have, brought on board. Check.
Not really. I'll say it's a bit of teamwork and a lot of guidance, because I think we all have people called mentors in our lives. Although for me, I call them maps and mirrors, people that I look up to, and I've been into places that I'm yet to be there. So anytime we come up with an idea, one of the things I say, it's good for you to seek advice from the people that you really think will have good intentions, and people that will give you the honest advice. Maybe if you'll either make it or you can't make it. But at the end of the day, no matter feedback you get, your vision has to be there. Yeah.
Wow. So now you've come up with the Vijana Network, and you've mentioned the academy. You've also mentioned something else.
Yeah. So I'd say for now we have two firms under the Vijana Network, which is one, Mombasa Youth Awards, and we mainly focus on celebrating the youths. And we also have the Vijana Publishers, another platform where we only deal with books.
Okay, you only deal with the publishing books. All right. So let's focus a little bit on the Mombasa Youth Awards, because after you did your last,
the second
one, the last edition yenye imepita, the second edition of course, it was a very good event, but kuna tushida hii hapa na pale tukosangi. Exactly. Critics wakosangi kusema, so there has been a notion that it feels it has a Muslim vibe.
Yeah, I got such feedback. And at the end of the day, I think one of the things that Safaricom do say that feedback is their breakfast. Yeah, and so I learned from them. And anytime you do an event, if you don't get critics or feedback, just know that your event did not make it. You get. And so when you talk about Mombasa, majority are the Muslims. And so that is one of the things we can't fight against. And our nominations were done freely on social medias. And there was no part where we said this event is only meant for Muslims. You get. Yeah, and so at the end of the day, we appreciate those that come on board to support. During our event, we also had some Christians, some were Hindus. And so just from the name, the Vijana Network, and then now we say Mombasa Youth Awards, you get. So there is no place that is only meant for a specific religion. But although majority of our supporters were Muslims, and we really appreciate that. Yeah.
So how are we going to tackle that? Because it's a problem. People will still feel like, do I really have to take part in this? Because Mimi, I'm not of that vibe.
It's a huge problem, and I think any problem that comes on board, it's good for us to focus on the solution part.
Yes.
And I know my team and I were having a discussion on how do we bring other people on board. And we had the ideas of maybe using like Christian influencers. Like we really need to share the entire outline and all that plan of why are we doing Mombasa Youth Awards.
Yeah.
And we need to, and I think people need to understand that Mombasa Youth Awards is meant for all youths.
Yes.
Not just Muslims, not just Christians, but
everyone.
Yeah, it's a free platform for you to participate and showcase what you're doing, build a network, share some insightful information with the fellow youths.
Yeah. Now that you have done 2 editions of the Mombasa Youth Awards, how do you feel about it? And because of course, when you start something, you have expectations. True. And now you've done 2 editions. How has it been? When you reflect, how do you feel?
I think our second edition was better than edition 1, which is a bravo for us, because anytime you want to do another edition, that means you have to do it better than the previous one. And so as the Vijana Network, we are really happy because we are able to build and create a platform where youths can freely talk to each other, share information that is very important to them, and just celebrating someone, especially when you're doing something good to the community and someone gives you a pat on the back. You really feel that motive of you doing more. You get.
True.
And so a lot of companies and private sectors have been on board to support us. The people like Rihanna Deka, Mombasa Mizmila, Swahili Port. And so people will open doors for you when they see you doing something that is good. You get. Yeah. And so that is what we are all trying to build, especially when youth now come on board. When you see maybe someone is focusing on a certain industry, we are able to link them up with maybe these companies, and so that we can all rise up.
Now that, well, we can't say uko chini. Now that umefika some milestones as a youth, and I'm sure you're a role model to youths out here.
True.
What would you tell a youth out there who is maybe starting something? Maybe they're starting, they've started writing, they've just started doing something. And what would you tell them are the right steps to take so that maybe their route is not going to be as long?
I'll just mention 2 things. One, you need to upgrade your level of discipline. And 2, might be some sort of a lot of explanation. But I say no matter what you're doing and no matter what you want to achieve, never be downsighted by a dashing squirrel.
Okay. Yeah, we need an explanation.
So when I say that is when we all wake up in different industries, some of us start from 0. But at the end of the day, the reason why others make it is persistence, consistency, and knowing what you really want at the end of it. You get. So the process is very important. because I think one of the things that Denzel Washington once said, that without consistency, you can't make it. You get? And so you have to keep pushing until one day you will be there.
So tuache kungoja vitu zi happen sai.
Exactly. Short-sighted.
So what is your plan on Vijana Network? Like, what's the future of the Vijana Network?
So we really have a lot in store, but we can't bring them on board that at once. You get?
Yeah.
And so one step after the other, because we just recently did our Mombasa Youth Awards edition 2, and now we're trying to figure out what next or what's on the pipeline for us, because at the end of the day, all that we're trying to bring on board, we're also trying to see how are the youths going to benefit, and apart from the youths, how are our mentors going to benefit from it? You get? Yeah, because for you to be supported, people have to see the kind of output and the benefit that maybe, let me say, the community is going to have. Yeah, and so mine is more of showing the results than sharing the plan.
Great.
And I think that is one of the most important things. People love seeing the results than your plan. Yeah.
Because everyone can plan.
Everyone can plan.
But not everyone can show results.
Exactly.
Kuna mtu anauliza, ebu uliza mtu, see he can dance. Huh? Ni dancer. Ebu come clean.
I can't really dance, but I can say I can do some movement of my body.
See, that is dancing.
No, unajua kuna wale wanajua kudance paka unajiuliza huyu mtu maybe alifanya hivi na hivi aka break a certain part of the body. Yeah.
Sasa we kazi yako ni movement. You can move some parts of the body with the vibe.
I think mwenye ameuliza based on the previous event that we did. Honestly, I didn't expect that.
You didn't expect that you can show people moves.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, being in an environment where we have our fellow youths and all that vibe, I think that triggered all that.
Yay! Maybe it's a hidden talent. You know, what unakuanga na talents until you're in an environment that can.
Mine is not hidden. Mine, that one is not a talent for me.
Mbona unakata? Mbona unakata na nguvu hivi? Anyway, as we wind up, where do we find Vijana Network? Is there a physical location, or where do we actually find you?
Okay, so for now we really don't have a physical location, but we are always available because we are one call away. One of the easiest way to find us on social media, on Twitter is the Vijana, or you can also search us under Mombasa Youth Awards. That is on Twitter. You can also use the same Mombasa Youth Awards on Instagram. Then on Instagram we also have the Vijana Network, and our phone number is 0742 296571.
42 29
65
65
71.
71.
Yes.
Wait, that has been
Yes.
Muhammad. Yes. Now tell me the difference between Muhammad, and all that, because mimi kidogo mnanichanganya.
I think it depends with the weight of the tongue. But at the end of the day, we mean the same name, but now maybe the how you write it or how
you pronounce it,
or how you spell it might now be the difference, but the pronunciation might end up being the same. All
right, Muhammad, thank you so much for gracing our studios. Before we went there, tumesema do not what of a dashing squirrel.
Never lose your focus just because of a dashing squirrel.
Never lose your focus because of a dashing squirrel.
Yeah, so when I talk about dashing squirrel, I mean the challenges and the rejections you receive from people. Yeah, because all that builds something called a testimony for you.
Right.
Yeah.
That is it. That is what we're closing this interview with. Never lose your focus because of a dashing squirrel.
You're listening to Blue Radio. Bringing the vibe.